Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Greg Bassett, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. It's a big day here at PAC 14. We have a candidate in the House, our first one of this election season, Julie Giordano. She's running for county executive as a Republican here in Wicomico County. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
You're shaking them up out there. I keep hearing about you everywhere I go.
Yeah, I'm trying to hit everywhere in the county. You don't realize how big Wicomico County is until you have to travel from one end to the other.
It's a big county, and it's very different in the different areas. Sharptown is very different, even from West Side to Willards and Pittsfield. It's very different.
It absolutely is, and the needs and concerns are different, wherever I travel.
So most people that we deal with that are following an election track, they're elected to an office and they move up in the ranks. You're a new candidate, so we don't really know you the same way. So who is Julie Giordano?
So I am, as you said, a Republican. I've been a lifelong Republican. I am not from here, and I know that's faux pas to talk about, but I grew up in Baltimore. I went to Salisbury University and graduated in 2002 with a bachelor's degree in communications and public relations. I did my internship at the Wicomico Youth and Civic Center and then became a human resources manager and special events manager, and then decided I wanted to go back to school to teach. So I went back and was hired at Salisbury Middle School. I worked with special education students for 2 years and then was hired as an English teacher. So I worked as an English teacher for 10 years in the middle school, and then I moved to Bennett High School where I've been the last 5. So that's kind of my work part. So anyway.
And you have a family, you live in Hebron?
Yeah, so I live in Hebron. So my husband and I met in the later part of 2004. And we married in 2007. I have 2 stepchildren. Jordan, she's 27, and she works at a drug rehab facility on the other side of the bridge. And Evan, he is 19, and he is at Warwick, and he works at Whitehead Realty right now, part-time. And then we have Jack, who is a 6th grader at Mardella.
Excellent. That's great. Now, as an employee of the school system, you see the school system in a way that the rest of us don't. I've seen it as I was a participant in the school system here in Wicomico, obviously, many, many years ago.
Yeah.
A parent in the school system, but you see it in a way that most people wouldn't. So talk about what you see in the school system.
So right now, what we're seeing is, we just kind of have gotten over the COVID hump. Our masks have come off, which is really wonderful. And I think the kids are really happy about that. I know a lot of our seniors were really concerned about prom and everything. So I think the dynamic is starting to kind of get back to normal, which is really, really nice. I think the children have done a great job in recovering. We do see some gaps in education, so we're really trying to catch up with that. But they've been great. I mean, they're happy to be back, happy to be, obviously maskless, and just kind of plugging along. So
how's teacher morale?
The teaching morale, I think, is getting better. I think, our hands are tied in certain things, and, we're looking at different things, for discipline and that kind of stuff. So far, so good. I know it's still kind of an issue with recruitment. Still trying to get teachers in there, so hopefully we'll be able to do so in the next school year.
Okay. A lot of my questions are going to sound like a job interview because it kind of is. So the obvious question, why do you want to be county executive?
So I want to be county executive because I, for the past 2.5 years, have dove into politics. I am a member of the Women's Federation. I was appointed on our Central Committee. I have chartered and chaired the Lower Shore Young Republicans, have a great relationship with the state, and I feel like I have a good relationship with our delegates and our senator and our congressman. I decided that I wanted to run for something. I wasn't happy with the way things have been going at the national level, at the state level, and even at our local level. As I've talked to numerous people before I even decided to run, there were, a lot of frustrated citizens talking about they felt like it's the same faces over and over again, and they wanted to see some fresh people in there, some fresh ideas. They knew our county needs to move forward, and I think it's kind of been at a stagnant place right now. And so my original thought was to even run for county council, because I know that would be kind of the first step. But unfortunately, as a school teacher, per the charter, you can't run. And so I decided, it was actually kind of brought to my attention to, well, what would you think about county executive? Looking into it, I think that I have a really good sense of where the county I feel like needs to go. I think I have some really great ideas. I have a unique set of skills that I think will serve as a really good leader for the county.
Well, we're 14, 15 years into the county executive form of government. I don't know that we really have figured it out yet. But what do you see the job being? What does the county executive do?
So, I could sit here and I guess read the charter definition.
Right.
So, but I mean, obviously I know that the county executive, controls the budget, presents it to the county council, and is, in charge of, signing contracts and things like that, and bringing forth any new things, that are coming forth, and, ways to spend the money and making sure that we're doing the best in the county. But I see it as a lot more than that, and of course I've read that definition in that charter, to try to make sure that, oh yes, I can do this and I understand this. But I really feel that the county executive is, you're the elected official. You are the voice of the people. You are the person that represents the needs and wants of the county. And so while, yes, you are in charge, you also kind of have to have a really great group of people around you, which is your director of administration and your deputy director, and then of course your department heads.
Right. And because, and nothing against being a teacher, but but usually, I mean, in our history with the county executive, the first county executive had been a planning director and city administrator from an iconic local family. Second county executive was a businessman who had been on the county council. But you're coming, this is a big jump.
This is a big jump. So you can look at it that way. When you look at the qualifications for the county executive, I'm supposed to be 25 years old. I'm way past that, so I've got that. But the other thing is that you need to be a citizen, a voting citizen for 5 years in the county. So those are the only qualifications, and so meeting those standards, I kind of said, well, I can do this, but looking at it a little bit deeper, as a school teacher, I actually think that I have a benefit over the planning and zoning and the mayors and things like that, because the education is such a huge part of our budget. It's actually the biggest part of our budget. So I feel like I have a really good grasp of that, obviously, with it being my profession. But as I mentioned, I mean, it's not just the only thing that I've done. I've worked in human resources. I've worked in special events. I've worked, in the Civic Center. I was appointed to redistricting. I'm on the Women's Commission. So I think that there's other things that I can bring to the table that maybe they couldn't.
From the beginning, the county executive and the county council have never really gotten along.
Yeah.
There's, as I like to say, there's elbows under the basket, like some pushing and shoving. Have you examined that, and do you know how you would conduct yourself to maybe have things be a little more cohesive?
Yeah, from what I've seen, it seems to be a struggle of power, and I really hope that no matter who is elected, because I do feel, I mean, we're definitely getting 3 new council members no matter what, and the other seats are being contested, so it's kind of up in the air as to who our council is going to be. But I kind of see that, that struggle in power, and it's such a shame because I think we have a good form of government here. It mirrors, what we have at the state level and at the national level. And so I think it's going to be super important, obviously, for open communication. Different decisions that I've seen made seem to be that this is the way it's going to be, and I'm just putting this in front of you. And I really hope to not do that. If I am elected, I hope to keep that open communication between, myself and the council. And each council member, no matter who it is, has something to bring to the table. And I think it's really important to remember that, some of them have been in there a while. You've got somebody like John Cannon, who's been in there for 16 years, I think. You've got, or maybe that's Joe Holloway. John Cannon's been there a while. Yeah. So, and it's important to, learn from them. So I think that that's the most important thing is obviously respect, what they bring to the table, and hopefully that they'll respect what I bring to the table.
Is the county executive driving the bus or holding the map?
I kind of like that. I think it depends on what it is. I mean, honestly, I think sometimes the county executive could be driving the bus, but I think sometimes that's going to be your director of administration. I think it's going to be really important to have somebody, that does have that background of, running an entire city or whatever. And I have somebody in mind, for that director of administration.
And you would never tell me who that is.
Not right now. Not right now. I don't want to bring forward just because for them as well.
Yeah.
So, but it is somebody who does have that background. So, I think it's going to be important for who you surround yourself with, obviously. So I think it depends on you as the county executive. I think you can be the bus driver, make all the decisions, or you can kind of be a passenger on the bus. And that's really kind of where I want to be, up in the front seat.
Right.
But it's okay to have those really great people around you and making collaborative decisions rather than just, me making every decision. So
what I see as a reporter guy covering the council and the county executive, I see the county executive build his or her department heads.
Right.
And they've got a team and they've got a mission, goals, and they're out there doing stuff. and then they kind of get called before the council who's not part of their workflow and doesn't really understand how to get things done maybe, because they have more of a citizen's take on things. And that inevitably leads to conflict where the department heads feel like they're being kind of maligned for what they're doing. Have you observed that, or any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have definitely observed it. I don't know if there was like just animosity between there, and I don't want to speak for anyone because I don't know what their actual personal feelings were. But I do feel like if you see the county council, they were frustrated with the county executive, you see them kind of take it out on the department heads. And I'm really hoping that that doesn't happen. I've got this whole, euphoria that I'm going to bring up there, but no, but I mean, in all honesty, it's about working together. And like I said, it's that open communication. I don't think it's acceptable for them to be screaming and yelling at the department heads or taking out their frustration on them. And, that's how we lose people, I've met with quite a few people that used to work for our county that don't work for our county anymore. And a lot of it is based on dysfunction. So I'm really hoping that we kind of need to come together because we're losing people left and right because of that.
What kind of leadership skills will you demonstrate to kind of solve the dysfunction?
Well, I mean, I feel like, first off, as a teacher, my job is to motivate all kinds of individuals from all different backgrounds. And so I'm kind of hoping that having that, bringing it forward, working with different types of people, I think will be a good leadership skill. I feel like I can, communicate with people, as a teacher. It's one of my main jobs. I'm not only dealing with, students, I'm also dealing with parents and dealing with administration and supervisors, all the way up. So yeah, I just think the biggest thing is just being able to work with people that you might not necessarily, get along with politically, or you don't get along with, in certain things, but you've got to come to work and, just kind of work together to make it happen.
Where does your thought about the relationship between the city and the county?
So if we're just talking about Salisbury, because I do think, it's important to have a great relationship with Fruitland as well, and
Yes.
Pittsville and Sharptown, and making sure that, and I do feel a disconnect there. I do feel like I want to bridge that gap. But talking specifically about Salisbury, every time I've been with the mayor, he's been nothing but wonderful to me. Very polite, very lovely, and you have to give credit where credit is due. I mean, he is trying very innovative ways to bring in revenue for Salisbury. We have the folk festival, that's great. I just think that he is creative, with different ideas, and I think that he does deserve that. We are not going to agree politically, Jake and I, but that's okay because we need to be able to work together. And I think that we both can bring forth ideas, to make it successful to be able to work. And like I said, I think as long as we respect each other, I think that we will be just fine. I mean, I do respect everything that he's done for the city and has worked really hard. And you can see the passion that he has for his job and how hard he wants to work for his city.
Is it fair when people say that you're a right-winger or you're part of the Trump wing? I said that on the radio.
I heard you
week.
say it on the radio.
Which just kind of led to our being together here.
Yeah.
I was probably maybe kind of careless in how I was.
No, that's
things,
okay.
But I mean, how do you respond to people who go, "Oh, she's a Trump right-winger"?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I mean, if you look at numbers, I mean, Donald Trump won the primary both times here. I think that there are a lot of people that when they look at the way things are run now, I think that they miss him right now. So, especially when they go to the gas pump. But the thing is, I mean, I voted for Donald Trump because he was the primary candidate, or he was the Republican candidate. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know how that was going to fare. He actually, honestly, wasn't my first choice. And then when he actually came here, I went to his rally, met him, actually got to talk with him, and he kind of won me over that way because I got to see him as a person and not the apprentice, the businessman, the person on TV. I got to see him as a human being, as a dad, as a grandfather. That's how I saw him. And so, I guess you could say that. I voted for him in 2020. It didn't really work out that well. So, but yeah, I mean, I guess I voted for him twice, so I guess so.
But is there a mindset from all that you'll apply in how you conduct yourself as county executive?
I don't think that I'm going to I think that I think some of his ideas were good. I don't necessarily, wasn't a big fan of his demeanor all the time. So I do think that there's a more charismatic way to kind of carry yourself. But then again, I mean, you have a lot of people here who were behind him. And as I said, I mean, he did win our county twice. So I think that there is something to be said about that. And I think that people were kind of excited in that whole, he's not the politician. He's not your typical person in in DC. And so I think in that aspect, I kind of reflected, because as you said, I haven't been a mayor or a town commissioner or a planner. So in that part, I guess, I kind of reflect that. But I'm hoping to be a little bit more charismatic in certain things and caring, and respectful, I guess.
One thing I see all the time with county council people and even with executives is they want to do things for the schools, but because there's an elected school board and all the state regulations, there's so little that they can really do for the schools except send a check. They've got a lot of input on capital spending, certainly. So what kind of relationship do you see yourself having with the school board? Because you got a job and they've kind of got a job, and you want to show leadership in that, but at the same time, they've got their thing.
Yeah, so with the school board, again, that is going to be a very contested race. It'll be very interesting to see if we have the same people or if we'll have a new school board, which will definitely be interesting. I plan to have a great relationship with them. Looking at the capital improvement plan, I agree with, I'm excited about the renovations happening in Mardella, especially because my son's going to be there and hopefully he'll be able to see it. So I definitely agree with that. And what was the other one that they did? Beaver Run. And they're getting ready to finish that up. So yeah, absolutely. I respect the school board. I don't think people really understand the amount of power that the school board has. They're a very important role. I think it's a very underpaid position. I think it's like $3,700 or something like that a year. So I definitely plan to have a good relationship with them. And I think that that's actually a benefit that I have over any other candidate because I know the system and I know, the school system. So.
Yeah. But there's always been questions here about transparency. I keep hearing they're not transparent enough.
Yeah.
But I know I can find out everything I need to know from the school board. Is it really a transparency thing, or where is there the gap in communication?
Yeah, so I think a lot of parents at this point in time, their eyes were open during COVID. I think that they saw that they weren't liking every single thing that was coming across. And I think that they are having a little bit of time or a little bit of an issue, asking for a detailed budget. We're taxpayers and parents. And, I think FOIA requests have been having to put forth to try to bring out that information. I think they think because the budget's right online, you can kind of see, okay, we spent this much in administration, we spent this much, but I think they want that more detailed budget. And for a long time as a teacher, we wanted nothing more than parents to be involved. And now they're very involved. And so you kind of have to say, maybe be careful what you wish for, but I think it's actually a good thing. I do think it is a good thing. And I think that, so for school board stuff, like if you were looking for something, like what is something that you've looked for?
Certainly the budget, the expenses stuff, the numbers, performance, testing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe I know where to look at it, and I complain that their agenda is kind of written in Greek. You can't really tell what they're going to talk about that week, and that annoys me. I've complained about that. But at the same time, I feel like that information is available.
Yeah, I think it is. I just think that, there's definitely been FOIA requests for certain, specific things. I think that there were a lot of parents also that were upset about the curriculum group. So any curriculum or books that become approved, parents aren't involved in that. So it's definitely a group of supervisors and principals and teachers. And I've sat on that, board before. And so I think that the parents want a more active role in that as well. So I think that they feel like when those decisions are being made, it's almost like it's behind closed doors because the parents don't have an active role being in, the curriculum.
Yeah, I debated someone this recently. I feel like I trusted the establishment. I would go at the beginning of the year and meet the teacher, and I'd ask some pretty hard questions about what was going to happen in the class. And I'd go during American Education Week and sit there when I'm sure everything was just perfectly, scripted for the benefit of the parents.
Yeah, of course.
But seeing the lesson plan, doing homework with my kids every night, I felt completely connected in terms of what was going on with curriculum. So I didn't have a lot of curriculum questions, but I hear those curriculum questions all the time. Yeah,
there definitely are a lot of curriculum questions in English. So, and that's what I've known, and I've taught grades 7 through 11 now, and I've actually written the curriculum for Wicomico County for grades 6 through 11. There are, I think people have some questions because we are not mandated to use that. I can't speak for any other subject area, but for English, we're not mandated to use that, which as a teacher is great because we can bring in some, if there's a current event or something that happens, we can bring that in, to kind of tie into what we're doing. And I think that, I think parents just want to make sure that what teachers are bringing in is appropriate and that they're, okay with what their child is learning. So I think that they're just a little concerned with some of the freedoms, but that's a really tough role for me because as a teacher, I kind of love that freedom because I can kind of bring in, some other things to make class more interesting and, keep the kids' attention. So
one of the areas the county executive can really show their priorities and their leadership is in the capital budget, the 5-year plan.
Yeah.
There's some things that are kind of cooked in there. The school board has their own school building plan. They're going to ask for things on a basis based on a calendar. When a school hits 50 years old, it's about time to think about replacing it. So that's going to happen. Right now, we've got the public safety building that's in the pipeline. We're finishing up Beaver Run. We're going to do Mardella. We're doing a lot of work out at the airport.
Yeah.
What do you see? What would you want to put in the capital budget? What do we need to build in our community?
Oh, gosh, man. Well, first and foremost, I'm very excited about this public safety building, but I did want to make a comment on it. I was a little frustrated. I'm happy that that we got the bond, and that's great because we have a great bond rating. But Governor Hogan, came out with this Refund the Police initiative.
Right.
And, I was kind of saddened that we didn't, take advantage of some of those funds because of that. But it is, I'm happy that, I know Sheriff Lewis has been waiting, very patiently for that. So I am about, first, when it comes to building things, I would love to see something just bringing in revenue for the county. It was funny. I was talking to my campaign manager, and I was thinking about on Route 50, taking advantage of that traffic going down to Ocean City, or thinking about down at Wallops, like people going down 13. How can we keep people here in the county? I mean, I've looked at everything from. I know that the Cracker Barrel didn't work out, and we've looked at looking at a Great Wolf Lodge, how to bring that in, or something like that. But I think Bob Culver, when I've kind of looked at different things, I mean, he had such great ideas, innovative ideas to bring, revenue into the county. I, thought about the hockey team, or thought about the cabins being built. And I do think that we need to figure out a way, especially with having the cap on, property taxes, which is fine, but we need to figure out a way to bring revenue in. So whether it's bringing in businesses, kind of, with, I don't know, we're really capitalizing on what we already have.
Right.
We have the airport, we have a port, we have a county stadium, we have a civic center. So even just bringing in things to drive revenue there, would be good. But yeah, I mean, just it's tough, man. It's tough to build here. Our regulations are a little tricky. So I would really hope to kind of, hopefully, bring in more business, obviously, and, loosen up those regulations a little bit for our businesses now.
So budget season's coming. So the next 2 months, 3 months, I'm going to be spending a lot of time going through the budget, figuring out the spending priorities, being told why this is important, and then watch the council and the executive sort of fight over some things.
Right.
So do you have any budget priorities in mind? Like areas, where do you think we need to spend more money, less money? What is your thoughts on the budget?
Well, my 3 probably top things, obviously education, because of being a teacher, I know it, and plus it's a big part of our budget. I think this year was $56 million, and it's operating at like $211 million. So it's definitely going to be important. I do want to take a more active role in that. So I know a lot of times with executives, or even however the government is set up, they kind of cut off that chunk of the pie and hand it over to the board and say, here you go, there it is.
They'll just do maintenance of effort, which is a state formula anyway.
Yeah. So, but I would like to take a more active role in that. I think it's kind of important to make sure that, and again, when you have taxpayers and you have parents yelling, there's no transparency or whatever, I want to kind of be able to have, yes, there is, and like this is exactly what they're spending their money on, and it's fine. And so, the second thing would be public safety. So I think it's going to be important to, obviously, we have great deputies here, and I want to make sure that we are recruiting and retaining them, making sure that they have everything that they need to keep us safe and keep themselves safe, and kind of keep that relationship with Fruitland and Del Mar and Salisbury as well. And of course, they have a new police officer down in Pittsville now, so making sure that we're kind of keeping all that together. And then the last thing, honestly, would be public works. It's going to be a big priority to hire a public works director. I actually have somebody in mind for that as well. So I'm kind of excited about that. And we have a big water and sewer plan that is really needs to come to fruition and start. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to be a top priority. I took a trip out to the east side and roads. I don't want to discredit our roads guys. They work super hard every single day, but making sure that we are retaining them as well. their pay is really bad. So we've got to look at that.
The salary study, which is out, it'll be talked
Yeah.
about in detail this week in the meeting, is going to correct a lot of that.
Yes.
But I'm told as a reporter that the biggest problem they have in recruiting is that people can't pass a drug test.
I hope that's not the case.
Yeah,
but I mean,
because it's a safety job.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely a safety
But
job.
it kind of shows the problem, in our society, maybe.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, but like I said, I think it's kind of hard to when we're just, I met with a man. I mean, he invited me in his house. I sat with him and his wife, and he makes $13.85 an hour. I mean, gas is $4 a gallon. With inflation right now, I don't even know how they're living at this point. So I'm kind of hoping that with that salary study and the information coming out, that there will be kind of a rise, and it will be hopefully able to recruit and retain. And the drug thing, we'll have to, handle that, as it comes. So.
One of Mr. Culver's big pitches when he got elected was economic development, was really pushing for economic development. He wanted his own economic development director and department. We've got Salisbury Wicomico Economic Development, which is kind of a separate agency.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on economic development?
I am such a big proponent of it. I really feel that Wicomico is great. And like I said earlier, we have so many great things here that I just don't feel like that we have utilized. Like I said, we have an airport, we have the port, Civic Center, and the stadium. And yeah, I'm all about kind of using those as driving factors to bring up our revenue. We have got to figure out a way to bring in this revenue without relying just on our taxpayers. And it's, it's just going to be one of those things where I don't want to change the rural, feeling that we have out here because, that's what we're known for, the agriculture. But I do think that we need to take what we have and utilize that. And I'm very much this might be an unpopular, topic with Republicans, I know, but I am very much about growth. I'm about smart growth, though. And I do think that we need to move forward with some things. So I'm kind of excited to see, where that will lead.
You mentioned sewer water plan, and this is another one of those issues that people don't seem as informed on as they need to be, and it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe I haven't written enough good readable sewer stories yet. But
they are enlightening. So.
but it's the most important thing we have.
Yeah.
But we have a situation down the Old Ocean City Road corridor especially. You've got houses there that are hitting that 50, 60-year-old mark. The septic systems are failing in their backyards. There's not enough land to put in a new system. They're putting some above-ground systems in that are expensive. So these people are kind of ripe for being connected to the Salisbury Municipal Treatment Plant, which is only using 55, 60% of its capacity. But to do that, they would have to be annexed into Salisbury. Yeah. So they would rather flush the toilet and have it overflow than pay city taxes, basically. They don't want to do that. How can you show leadership on that issue?
I would really hope that there would be some sort of plan that we could come together and formulate where they don't have to necessarily be annexed in. I'm not saying that we wouldn't pay a fee, obviously, but there has to be some way to kind of work together. And that's not the only area. I mean, there's certain areas like right behind like where Safford dealership is, that's part of the county as well, and that would be an easy tie-in. But right now, I mean, the biggest thing is to get a public works director. We need those areas definitely. I mean, we know those areas, but we need, a person in there to kind of, grab the bull by the horns. We can't do anything until we get those to get that in there. I know the current acting county executive was asked about that, and unfortunately there was no number brought out for it just because they didn't have the areas kind of, as to where it was going to be. So I think that was a little frustrating to just not even know where the areas are. And I know it's because of the lack of, the director. So yeah, I would really hope that we would not have to necessarily annex in because people, their taxes are definitely going to rise up. So hopefully we would be able to come up with some sort of plan to where maybe if there's a fee or something like that, that they can pay into it.
Are you comfortable with the revenue cap?
Yes, I'm comfortable with it, but it frustrates me sometimes, with it. And when I talk to certain people about it, you have such mixed reviews about it. Because I've even talked to citizens about it because I think it's important for them to kind of understand, hey, this is where we are. And you've got half the people that are like, yeah, we're great with it. And then you've got the other half that are like, no, we need to get rid of it completely.
And 90% of people don't understand what it is. They think it's a tax cap, but it's not.
Right, it's not. Right.
Much more restrictive and bureaucratic than that.
Right, exactly. And, I think, though, it's just one of those things where, you have it here but it's causing a rise in other things. So I think, again, you've got half the people that are happy with it, and then you've got half the people that are not for it. So it's just one of those things where they ask me, well, what's your plan when you get in there? And it's just going to be one of those things that you just have to kind of look at, once you get in there. So
you're going to a lot of events, you're
Yes.
traveling around, you're going door to door. What are people telling you?
So it depends on where I am. So in District 2, heading down especially Nanticoke Road, their biggest issues are water and sewer, broadband, huge issue. And if COVID taught us anything, is that we need broadband everywhere here on the shore. And I know that they've been kind of working, with that. And as I visit the various fire departments, that's kind of everybody is, funding and recruitment is, the two biggest things with the fire departments. When I travel on the east side, their biggest concern is roads. There's not sidewalks out by the schools, down by Pittsville. So you've got that issue. When you head up to Delmar, there's again another issue with roads, and talking to the fire department, same type of thing. So it really depends on where you go. So
Are people happy here? Are they trying to protect what they have? Do they want to grow it? Do they feel positive about its future?
Okay, so again, depends on where you are. I think Salisbury people, the 33,000 that live in Salisbury, they're very happy with the way things are going. They're happy with the growth. They love the restaurants downtown.
And that's progress for Salisbury.
It is. That is. Yeah. It is. But I think the people on the outskirts, get very frustrated with Salisbury and the way things are going.
Yeah.
But they also like going to those restaurants and things like that because they don't have them on the outskirts. So I think they kind of want to keep their way of life on the outskirts. I don't know how much development will really kind of fly. I know when I met with Bill Chambers, they had talked about, these smaller municipalities could do like a Horizon Light type thing.
Right.
I don't know. After I talk to people, I don't see that really happening. So I think that they are appreciative of their lifestyle, but I do, and the way of life on the outskirts. But I also think that I don't know what it is. It's like they want to have the nice restaurants and grow, but then they don't want to buy them. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is there. So there's always going to be animosity with the city, but I also think that they know that that's where a lot of the revenue is generated.
So how can people reach you? Do you have a website?
I do. So it's Giordano. The number 4, ce.com. I'm also on Facebook all the time, Instagram and Twitter. Very easy to reach me.
And you want people to reach out to you?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think people have really kind of gravitated to me because of that. I get a lot of responses on Facebook and some questions and can you meet me? Can you talk to me about this? And so it's been people from the fire department to the jail to people that used to work here to just concerned citizens. So I think they really appreciate that I do have a little bit of time to be able to kind of reach back to them and reach out. So yeah, absolutely. Any questions that they have or concerns or comments, yeah, absolutely.
She's Julie Giordano. She's a candidate for Wicomico County Executive Republican primary coming up in June, and we're thrilled that she had time to be with us here today. Thank you so much, Julie.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. Another edition of 101 right here on PAC 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and one-on-one. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.